I am live. Wow, you are here already, Lord Tyvek. I'm having a sip of tea because my throat hurts. And I'm having a sip of tea because I want to be ready to tell this great story. Good evening, everyone. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. A lot of people just say his name real fast. Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King. I say his full name. Actually, I believe it's Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I give him his full due, particularly because of all the great things that he did for so many people, for the rights of so many people. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I see Cleveland in the house. I see, it's moving so fast, Renee and Tekan and Takesha from Cleveland. I see you. Lord, I get his name wrong. Lord is here. The Lord is here. Lord Tyvek is here. Joseph is here. Crystal, I have a fantastic story for you. Beverly from Virginia Beach. I see you all. May, and I say long, have the flu. Okay, Elisa, feel better. If you cannot stay long, feel better, but come back and watch the replay because it's a really beautiful story. It's a personal story that I have about Martin Luther King Jr. and my family. Not many people have personal stories to tell. I have personal stories to tell. Now, excuse me, I've told the story before. I have told the story here, so if you know me and you've been here on this page or one of my pages for a while, you've heard me tell the story before. However, tonight I have the picture. I tell the story about my mother meeting Martin Luther King Jr. many, many, many years ago. I shouldn't look up the year. It would be very easy to pinpoint the year. And those of you who are historians here will probably be able to help me when I tell you the time frame that it was. Because if you know his history, you will know that. And if you know your history, you will know that. It's just, I don't know the number. I don't know the date. I'll tell you right now. Hello, Buffalo, New York. Hello, Texas. Hello, Jenny, Venezuela. I see you. Okay, I'm sipping tea. Because I'm having a whole sinus throat thing. All right, let's go. Welcome. So I'd like to tell the story about how my mother met Martin Luther King Jr., and I have a picture to prove it. I'm going to save it for just a second to pop the picture up. I was able to find the picture. Every year, I come and tell bits and pieces of the story, and I finally found the picture, so here's the deal. My favorite auntie went to school with Martin, went to Boston University. So that's how I know that someone here will know the time frame. When was Martin Luther King Jr. at Boston University? I believe he got his doctorate there because my auntie was in a doctoral program at Boston University. And that summer, one of the summers, my mother went to go visit her sister and met a charismatic preacher named Martin. So here's how the story goes. I'll save the picture. I'm going to save it. So my mother went to go visit her sister. And my auntie tells the story about going to school, going to Boston University with one of her good friends. And they arrived at school and they checked into the dorm and, they were getting all settled. And there came a knock at the door. There was a knock at the door and they opened, well, actually my aunt, her friend first opened her door. I guess they had individual apartments or something. I don't know. So there was a knock at my auntie's friend's door. And a gentleman introduced himself and said, my name is Martin. And just want to let you know that here at Boston University, you're so welcome. There's a wonderful group of us that, and by us, we mean Negro students. Now, I don't know, were we Negroes then or were we colored? I don't know. We're probably Negro. There's a group of us Negro students who get together every Friday night and we talk and make sure that we have a good community, and you're absolutely welcome. Since you're one of the new students, come on over. Would love to have you. Great. A few minutes later, there was a knock at my auntie's door. My auntie opened the door and, hi, my name is Martin. How are you? Welcome to Boston University. So glad that you're here. Just want to let you know that on Friday nights or Saturday nights or whatever it is, a lot of the Negro students get together. We make sure that we have good community. And here's what he said to my aunt. He said, it gets really lonely here on the weekends. And so I want to make sure that you come on over and have some fellowship and, be well taken care of and just, all that. So the line, it gets lonely here on the weekends, really disturbed my aunt. Because what happens is it was Boston University. Let's call it what it is. It was it was a mostly white university, and these Negro students had been accepted to go to school here. But on the weekend, the white kids would go home to their families. And so my aunt was not from Boston. She was originally from North Carolina. Most of the Negro students came from someplace else. So on the weekend, the other kids went home, and who was left on the campus but the Black students, or whatever they called us at the time. And so that line really struck her as funny. It gets really lonely here on the weekends. So he left, and my aunt went to her friend and said, did you just get a knock on your door by some man named Martin talking about it gets lonely here on the weekends? She said, me too. I got this whole thing. He says, come to my place, and, there's fellowship, and, we'll make sure you're well taken care of. And they said, I don't know, that sounds a little fishy to me. He probably invited me not knowing that he didn't know that we knew each other. So we should go together, because that sounds a little fishy, talking about it gets lonely here on the weekends. That sounds like a lie to me. So we should both go together and just show up, in case he was trying to date both of us or trying to have some kind of funny business. True story. So they go. I have to drink some more tea. They both go at the appointed time, all sassy and feisty, and go knock on his door like, he think he's gonna tell us it's lonely on the weekend. We both gonna show up in case he's trying to, play a little game with us. They both knocked on the door. Martin Luther King Jr. opened the door and said, oh my goodness, you're here. Welcome. Come on in. Come on in. Meet some of the other students. It really was the truth. It wasn't a lie. It does get lonely on the weekends. And he thought that all of the African-American, Black, Negro, colored, whatever we called ourselves at the time, students should have community and fellowship and be together and introduce each other to each other and network. He created this network of other students who were there together. Now, one of the things he did, which was so awesome, is he told all of the girls that don't walk back to your dorm room alone. Come and get one of us guys, and we will walk you back to your room, which was such a sweet thing to do. Like, we don't know what goes on. We just want to make sure that you're safe and sound. So that was one of the things that he put in place. He made sure that the girls got a chance to get walked back to their dorms safely. So if you're someplace and you feel unsafe, come here, grab one of the guys, and we'll walk you back to your room and make sure you get home safe. That was one thing. The other thing that he instituted was he said that we, as young professional people, need to be able to speak well, need to be able to carry ourselves well, and need to be able to support each other. So he created something that my historians here will know. It was called the Dialectical Society. The Dialectical Society was a group of Black students, whatever we called ourselves at the time, where they learned how to make speeches, and Martin would critique their speeches. So you had to be able to stand up, say who you were, say where you were from, talk about what you were studying, talk about what your interests and your passions were with great skill and great poise, because he said, we're the leaders of tomorrow. And we have to be able to go out in the world and represent ourselves and represent people and represent what we're here to do very, very well. So he made them practice. Hi, my name is so-and-so, and I'm studying to be a such and such, and this is what I do. He said, you need to be eloquent, you need to be elegant, and you need to be able to represent all of us really, really well. So he made them practice and made them rehearse. And my auntie always said that he was really bossy. Martin was bossy and he was demanding, but for all the right reasons. I mean, he wasn't being mean. He wanted them to be excellent. And so my Aunt Thelma was a member of the Dialectical Society, and she later became a great speaker as part of all the other work that she did. She was also a community leader, and he knew that everyone who was there was special and that they were there to lead communities and to raise up and be confident in what they were doing. Isn't this a great story? Okay, great story. So that was part of it. So it wasn't funny business. He was really, really real. And he was like, we're going to, make sure you're safe on campus, learn how to speak and be a great orator. And this is what we're going to do. And we're going to support each other. The other thing he did was he would preach at the local churches. And he would go from church to church on Sunday, and he would ask everyone to come and support him. And the thing was, he would go to the local churches, and he would make a speech or make a, or be a, like a guest pastor or whatever it was at the time. And he would say, now this is how it goes. They're going to pass around a collection plate. The first collection plate goes to the church, but the second collection plate, they'll donate to me. So put money in that second plate. I don't care if it's 50 cents or $1 or whatever. And he would say, put money in that second collection plate, and that's my money. And I'll make sure that I buy, I guess he would buy, snacks and things for when they would have their own meetings. So that was the way he funded what he was doing. Like, don't put money in the first collection plate, put it in the second plate. That's mine. And that was how he would get a little stipend. And he would also put that money back into the community and into their special community. This is how he would give and give back. Hello, great story. Little known facts. Isn't it super interesting? So my auntie was there. Now, the other thing I'll tell you is that she tells me how much she remembered how much in love he was with Coretta Scott King. So Coretta Scott King was also a student there at the same time. My auntie was friends with her until she passed away many, many, many years later. You forge friendships when you're in school together, right? And she just said Martin was just smitten with her. Like, oh, Coretta is that's my wife. That's going to be my girl. And he was 100% in love with her, and 100% that was the woman for her. Now, as I recall, she was a music student. I think she was a piano concerto or a piano player, and she was highly talented and had her own skill and had her own, way of being. And she was my auntie said, as you already know, who she always was. She was very ladylike and sort of demure and quiet and soft. And he just was like, that's going to be my wife. I love Coretta. And so to hear their love story from my auntie's perspective, it has always been so warming to me. It's just been so warming to know that he just loved and loved. Oh, I forgot to show. Okay, wait. Okay, I got a picture to show. Okay, the picture's coming. So stay with me. Stay with me. So just knowing that he loved her and just like, you're the one for me. I'm going to choose you. And she fell in love with him too. But he was in love with her first. Like, oh, Coretta, that's my girl. He was just absolutely smitten. And it's so nice to hear, those of us who have had relationship ups and downs. I know I have. To hear that there was a man who was so much in love with a woman, and that it happens all the time, and that it can happen in your lifetime too. Okay, you may not be Martin Luther King Jr., and you may not be Coretta, but love is possible. Okay, you love this story? Okay, good. Now, Mary Jo, tell the story that you've been waiting all day long for this, Hustle Beautiful. Well, come on, Hustle Beautiful. So here comes the summertime. I got to take another sip. And my mother goes to visit her sister for the summer. Like, my mother's name is Bernice. Bernice said, I'm going to come visit Thelma for the summer. Oh, come on up for the summer. We're going to have a good time. My mother goes, and she gets to meet Martin. And she found him charming and so confident and so humble and so just, such a leader, like so amazing. So like this guy really, you know in your lifetime when you meet people who just have it. And the it thing is that thing that you really can't even define. It's really hard to put in words. They just seem like a star, even if they're not trying to be a star. They walk into a room and the room lights up. Perhaps you know someone like that. Perhaps you are that person. Perhaps you're the person that when you walk in the room, and by the way, I think we all have our own version of an it factor. It has nothing to do with fame, has nothing to do with fame or fortune, really. It just has something to do with being so lit up about your gifts, being so lit up about who you are and why you're here in this world, or being so lit up about your potential that when you walk into a room, people feel it. When you're doing that thing, people understand it. Maybe someone here is an excellent cook, and when they cook their food, when they make their food, they just throwing some stuff together. But when people taste your food, they go, "Oh my goodness, this is the most delicious lasagna. This is the most amazing chicken I have. These chitlins are rocking." Maybe it's chitlins. I don't know. That means you got the it factor when it comes to cooking, and you're not even trying. Most people with the it factor are not even trying. When you see somebody trying too hard, that ain't it. It is when it just exudes from you. You have your version of it. We all do. And Martin Luther King Jr. absolutely had a whole lot of it. She said when he walked into a room, he just lit it up and he wasn't even trying. So my mother, being the sassy woman that she is, and she was about maybe 19 or so, and I'm fitting to put the picture up. My mother said, "You know, Martin, you're going to be famous one day. I could just feel it." And she said he was so humble. He was like, "Oh, Bernice, what are you talking about? What you mean I'm going to be famous?" And I said, "Oh, yes, you're going to be on the cover of magazines. I just know it." He's like, "What you talking about? I don't know what you talking about, girl." And my mother said, "You know what? I want somebody to take our picture because you're going to be famous one day. And I want people to know that I knew the answer. I knew it all along. All 19 years old and all feisty." Y'all see where I got it from. I would like to now show you this picture. I want you to notice a young Martin Luther King Jr. I think his hair is kind of smooth and kind of, he might have even had a conch in his hair. I don't know. It's back in the day. I want you to notice that's my mother, who's being very sassy with her head a little turned to the side. And she loves to tell me that that's a dress that she made. It looks like a little homemade dress, which is so cute. She's like, "I think that's a dress I made in the basement, Kim." This is my mom with Martin Luther King Jr. Now, look at how young he is, right? Young. This is one, right, Christy? Thank you. I've been telling you all this story every year on his birthday. I come here on live stream every year for the last 3 or 5 years. I have not had the picture handy, and now I do. Excuse a little bit of glare because that's a picture of a picture. It's powerful for several reasons. Number one, because my mother said, "You're going to be famous." Now, he didn't become famous because she said he would be, but she saw it in him. And she said, there was just something about him, Kim. I said, "I need a picture with him because he's going to make it one day. And I want a photograph with this great, great man." I knew he was going to be well known because he was so kind, so generous, so smart, so charismatic, and could move people. Now, this time he was moving small groups of people, but she saw that he was going to move nations. She just knew it. So this picture has been part of our family for a long, long time. And what's really cool about this is a couple of things. Number one, we didn't have this picture for many years. The person who took it, who was a friend of my mom's, took the picture. Back in the day, nowadays you can take a picture with your phone and send it to a friend and that's it. Well, whoever took the picture had the camera, had the film, directed, developed the photo, or had the photo developed, and she kept the photo. She never sent it to my mom. When this person passed away, some 40 years later or so, her husband called my mom and said, "Bernice, I have this picture of you, and it looks like Martin King. I'm going to send it to you. Do you remember?" I remember taking that picture, send it to me right away. So we didn't have this picture. I didn't see this picture when I was growing up. I didn't even see this picture until I was already an adult. And my mother told me the story. She told me the story. I took a picture, but we never saw it until we did. Yes, Oh, that's right, Emily. If I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way. Absolutely. And that is the it factor, Emily. Isn't that a lovely picture? So the other thing about this picture that I want you to know that is very, very special, and it took a friend of mine who is a Martin aficionado, like a Martin historian, like a Martin knower of all things. And he said to me, Kim, let me explain to you why this picture really is very valuable, very important, is because once he was pulled into the struggle, once he became who we all know as the great Martin Luther King Jr., the great orator, the great speaker, the great mover of people and mover of nations and fighter for civil rights, he only wore dark colored suits. It was decided by someone on his team, and we would call that branding now, right? We would call it branding, that you wear a certain color or that you look a certain way or you always have a certain stature or a certain way of being. We would call that branding. I don't know if they called it that, but it was decided that he should always wear dark colored, austere looking suits, that was meant to look more serious. It meant like you were more serious about what you were doing, that people would pay attention to you when you were wearing black or brown or navy or whatever color. Dark. You look at the pictures of Martin, he's wearing a dark colored suit, maybe a white shirt, but a dark colored suit. And he said, this picture is valuable because there are very few pictures of him in a light colored suit. Now, this is a black and white photo, so we don't know if this was gray or beige or tan. It's the summertime, and so, men in the summertime wear a nice tan suit. Maybe it's gray, maybe it's beige. I don't know. But he said that it was really, really important to see this young picture of him because we didn't see him like this. We only saw him in dark suits. We only saw him with images that were an image that was crafted to show that he was very serious, he was very intense, he was to be respected. Now, I could respect this man in this light colored suit, but that decision was made. And so, no, it's black and white. The photo's in black and white. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Marcy. There are people in the community who didn't agree with him. But that's part of the struggle, right? That's part of the work that leaders do. Not everybody's going to come along for the ride. I think in the end, we can see that his impact has absolutely been felt. And even someone who couldn't agree with him would have to agree that change needed to happen, right? Maybe we were not clear about how that change needed to happen. He had a very specific way, and he and his team had a very specific way that they wanted the message to come out, in a way that they wanted to move the people. In the end, his impact is felt by nations and felt by the world and felt so strongly that we have a whole holiday for him, and felt so that we have every neighborhood in the hood has an MLK block and an MLK school, and his reach has been global. So even though there were people in his organization that may have disagreed with how he was going about it, the work that he did was felt globally. He had the it factor. So I wanted to share this story with you all. I've been sharing the story year after year. If you go back in my old live streams, you will hear me telling this story, but not with the picture attached. I'm really proud of this piece of my heritage. I'm proud of my auntie who has told me these stories and so many more. I love knowing that he was deeply in love with Coretta, and she was the chosen one. I love that he was kind and friendly and a little bit bossy. And because he wasn't very tall, and my auntie was tall, and you could see my mom, it looks like she's a little bit taller than him. He was this not very tall man, but running things, and making sure that they learned how to speak and speak with excellence, and learned how to stand in what we would call now Black excellence. And I love that he was helping to shape those folks. So tell me what you think about this. Tell me what you all think about this. Isn't this great? I love sharing this. No, I don't think the MLK family has a copy of this photo because, he has, I'm sure they have millions of photos. But I do have a second part to the story. Many, many years later, I met his son, Dexter. And I said, Dexter King, if you don't mind, I'd like to take a photo with you in the same position that my mother took a photo with your father. And it was really precious to me to be standing next to one of his sons and realize that my mom had taken a picture with his dad. I never got to, I don't think I ever showed him the picture. It was we were at a public event and I didn't have the picture on me. I just said, take a picture with me. So somewhere in my garage, when I finished unpacking all of my artwork, I do have this photo I'm showing you right now, side by side with a photo of me and Dexter King in the same positions. And so that means I have another piece of history, which is super, super powerful. It's personal and powerful and a part of history. And so maybe I'll find that picture and show that to you guys one day. It was just side by side and it's just really super cool. It's it's a personal story about a very public man. And I'm so grateful for all the sacrifices he made and everything that he did. And so I thought you all would like that story. And my sassy mother talking about, you're going to be on the cover of Life magazine one day. Somebody needs to take a picture with me and you because you're going to be famous. I may be famous one day too. I'm sure she said that. Oh, I'm sure she said that. I'm going to be famous too. Somebody needs to take our picture. All sassy. I got it honest. Oh, thank you so much. You enjoy sharing this. Maisha, I did share this story for like the last 3 years. Thank you for your patience and waiting for the photo. Now you know I'm telling the truth. Not the truth, but the truth. I hope you all had a great MLK Day. I think you know about the Dialectical Society, which is such a intense name. He didn't call it the Speech Club. He called it the Dialectical Society. It's a real thing. It really existed. And I wish that before my auntie passed away, I'd gotten even more information, or I really wish I had a chance to interview maybe some of the living members of that, because it was more than just a bunch of Negro students getting together on a Friday or Saturday afternoon. It was learning to be great leaders, learning to step into the communities and lead in a way with excellence and to see the greater vision. I know that my auntie later on went to work with so many organizations, so many fundraisers, so many community-driven events to make sure that there was education available, to make sure there were opportunities available. And so that seed very well may have been planted that summer of this photo right here. What? You're welcome. Please do share. Okay, I've completely forgotten to tell people to share this. I've completely forgotten. Team Kim, I don't know if you put a note in here for me. It is a treasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's an awesome legacy, right? Right? I want to say to each of you, though, know that you have legacy in your family too. And interview your elders. Interview your aunties and your uncles before they leave this plane. They all have stories to tell too. My dad, I'll come back and tell the story about my dad being a Montfort Point Marine. There were a group of Marines, a group of Black Marines that were integrated into the Marine Corps. And there's stories there, and I'll come back and tell the story sometime. There's history. He was not tall, Pat, but had a whole lot of presence. When really, my mom said he wasn't tall at all. Not look, he's like shorter than my mom. Well, and my mom is like maybe 5'6" or something. I don't know. She's shrunk over the years, so I don't remember. But he walked in the room like the big dog, but without trying. He knew what his purpose and passion was. And that was all over him. That was all over him. Yes. Liz Walker says, you're late today. Don't worry. You can go back and watch the replay. Your favorite MLK Jr. quote is, our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about the things that matter. I want to let you all know that you all matter to me. Thank you all so much for being here for this edition of the Kimspiration Show with my personal legacy story about MLK. I want to say to all of you, please, please interview your elders. Ask them about what their life was, what they've overcome, what they've learned, and hold on to it because that's part of your legacy. It's absolutely part of your legacy and no less important than MLK's legacy. It's yours. It's your legacy, and you have your very own it factor. Yay. Thank you, Eve 7 Chick. I did bring up a part of his life. I mean, we all know the I Have a Dream speech. There are so many more speeches. We all know like the stuff on the periphery, but he was a man and he came from a place and he lived a life and he had these other attributes and qualities, including being really bossy, but he had a dream and he wanted other people to experience it too. She said he would critique our speeches, Kim, and he didn't like any of it. Like, no, do it again. I know you can do better. He was really inspiring and drove them to excellence. Do your speech again. Stand up tall. You got this. Come on, let's do this. And he would help write. He would, oh, I forgot to tell this part. You would turn your speeches into him and he would rewrite them and critique them and draw red lines on stuff. Say this here, put that there. No, try it again. When you come on Friday, let's do it again. She said he was very bossy. He was very demanding. I love that. I love that. And made her a better person and made everyone around him better people too. Hope you all enjoyed this. Yay. Oh, I see, Marcy, your dad was a mechanic in the Air Force and worked on the Tuskegee aircraft. Do you know how much a part of history your dad is? So here's what's cool about this. We all hear about the Tuskegee Airmen, but I want to talk to the men who kept the machines running for those men. There are things that your father has seen and experienced that no one has. There's things that he knows and can teach and can share with others. I think that's beautiful. You, my dear, have a very powerful part of history. Hold on, I'm checking a message. Okay. Okay, so all the best to all of you. By the way, what I want to say about the light-colored suit is if you remember when President Obama wore a light-colored suit, people gave him hell for it. That's because it is expected that people, men of note, men of great respect, should only wear dark suits. And when he wore that light-colored suit, people lost their mind. And it might be why Martin had to wear dark-colored suits. I'm just saying. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your evening. Please share this story with others. I saw the numbers dip a little bit, but that's okay because you're going to share it with other people because I want people to see the picture, see my history, and see history for yourself. Talk to your elders. They got stories too. Have a great, great, great rest of your evening. All righty. Bye.